Hello, hi everyone. I think some people have to join now. Already have Tanushi and Saina. We have discussed about that. Already we discussed that first pages last week. In here, actually, mainly in this lesson, the first lesson actually two main basic topics are there, and three basic other topics also there in here. And just for the memory, I can explain that things last session ideas again for you. You means I take for that thing, and after that we have to move the next uh, pages and other action things also. So the beginning and expansion of the communication, that is the lesson main first lesson. So in the first lesson, actually, in here, three subtopics are there: beginning, after that, second idea, expansion. After that thing, importance idea also there. So three main basic subtopics also there. The first thing actually beginning idea. You have to highlight already highlight that thing actually. Beginning means depend on two things actually. The human's origin and the world's origin idea. That is the point of the beginning idea. You have to like highlight that thing and have to put the uh, underline that thing. Okay, and it's a very important point. Beginning idea. How it actually start. Actually, we can't say any exact date for that thing. That's why we develop that type of idea. Human origin or the world's origin. It depends on that type of past ideas. That is the point. Okay. And second one, expansion of the communication. Expansion already you know. Expansion means one thing that the evaluation idea, the development of that idea, implementation of the communication. That is the thing. Already you have to highlight the expansion idea, that idea. Okay. And after that thing we write down there. Expansion means two ideas are there, two eras we can see in there. Prehistoric era and the new era. The two ideas you have to put in there. Expansion. Okay. Expansion to eras are there. Prehistoric era to new era. That is the point. Okay. Have to highlight that thing and you have to write down that. Third subtopic actually the importance idea is there. Importance. Importance mainly two importance are there. Developing criticism and making the literacy idea. And criticism means what thing actually deeply analyzing something. If you can, if you have that skill, that is the idea about the criticism. Deeply analyzing something, much more than others. And literacy means what? Literacy means ability to read, write, and understanding normal literacy. But another idea in the media literacy. The second page we discussed that. Okay. And importance you have highlight and main two importance are making literacy and developing criticism. And other important things are what? The education is an important thing. You can write down that. Motivation is another important thing. Another important idea, you can write that thing. And entertaining is also like that, you can write that thing. That's the point, right? Then after that, uh, there's a question is here, what is communication? Simply, what is communication if they ask in the exam or in the paper or anytime, anything. Someone asks from you, what is communication? As a communication student, what you can say about the communication? The communication simple idea is this thing. What is communication? The answer is it's exchange of feeling, thoughts, and information to selected someone. It's exchange of feeling, thoughts, and information to selected someone. That is the point of the communication. What is communication? The exchange of feeling, thoughts, and information to selected someone. Selected someone. That is the point. And after that, there are six types of characteristics we can see according to the communication. So six characteristics are this thing that firstly, in the left hand side top one, verify expansion idea. Actually, verify expansion idea have two types of ideas. Firstly, we read that thing, the last recent idea. Human origin and world origin also we can add to this point, no problem. That also verify expand idea. The second point is actually prehistoric era, new era idea. That was a very old type idea, so you can add that point also for this thing. So verify expansion have 2 points of ideas. First thing, human origin and world origin idea also we can write. And we can write one thing. It depends on that prehistoric era, new era development. Really helpful for this. That also correct. No problem. Okay, then. Next one, simple idea is there. Anyone can do this thing anywhere, anytime. Because it's we don't want much more knowledge for this thing. Everyone can do that. That is the simple idea. Okay. Child, elder, whatever it is. All the peoples can do that thing. That is the simple idea. But understand that. Natural means what thing? Actually, without any technology, we can do this thing. We are humans, always we don't want all the time technology. Inspiring, but thinking, we don't want technology. In this type of ideas, we want some technology. But according to that thing, we want technology, but otherwise, actually, we don't want much more technology for in our day-to-day life. All the things. For that. So natural idea is working without technology also we can do this thing. Without technology also we can do this thing. That's the point. Communication works. As an example for the thinking, performing, writing, dancing, eating, sleeping modes actually depend on the communication ideas. When we sleep actually, while we sleep actually, our brain and nerve system always activated and our five senses also activated. Then that also communication thing. Sleep, that feeling also communication. I don't understand that thing. Practical means what? We can apply that thing for anything in our day-to-day work. Okay, we can apply that thing, this thing for any day-to-day works of our life. Essential means what thing? It's a must. Without this thing, we can't do anything. That is the point. Without this thing, we can't do anything. It means without communication, there are no any connections. There are no connections means there are no relationships. There are no relationships means there are no societies. There are no societies means there are no cultures. There are no cultures means there are no countries. There are countries means there are the world. Think about that. So simple communication can develop the country or the world also. The world also depend on that one thing, communication. That's the point. It's a must. Without this thing, we can't do anything. That's the point. The next one, process idea. Last week also I explained that the process means some kind of steps to follow. Idea is you have to follow some steps for the communication. You have to follow some steps. As I explained this thing using this structure, this model, SMR, sender is here, message here, receiver is here. Send the message receiver, sending first step, second step, and the third step. So step by steps work. Communication is not only just work, actually it's a step by step work. Sometimes we can plan that, sometimes we can see unplanned random things, but daily communication we can plan that thing. No, sometimes we can do that thing. No problem. Sometimes you can plan that. No problem. Right? Then that's the idea. Process means we have to follow some steps for the communication. Then there are 4 points we already highlighted that thing. And the first thing actually simple meaning of the communication. What is the simple meaning of the communication? Recently we write down that thing, okay? We wrote that thing. What is that idea? It's the exchange of feeling, thoughts, and information to selected someone. It's the exchange of feeling, thoughts, and information to selected someone. That is the point. Okay. We have to highlight the exchange of feeling, knowledge, opinions, and ideas. You have to highlight all the point, and we wrote the additional idea for that thing. Put a bracket and write. You can write that thing. Information for the first point. Last, right? Put a bracket and write. Information also we can add to that. Main thing information. Without information, we can't develop proper messages. You have to understand that. Okay. That's the point. Second one. It is necessary for every individual to be engaged in interpersonal communication. Highlight the interpersonal communication and I think you already highlighted that. But you have to write down 2 points in there. Two types of the interpersonal communication is what? For the first thing, actually, face-to-face idea. Face-to-face idea. You have to write down here to the interpersonal communication idea. The second point of that bottom idea. Okay. So, face-to-face is the first thing, first type of the interpersonal communication. Second type is unbased communication. Unbased. Unbased means a distance communication idea is not a close thing. It's a very far thing, but we can do that. In here, I use this platform now to, and this one indicate what thing, this one demonstrate what in the unbased communication. Between you and me have the unbased communication now. The distance communication system, we always it's connected with the data and the internet connections are there. Okay. Third one, in the contemporary society, communication has expanded to an exchange of the information done through digital communication. Highlight digital communication. If you highlight already, don't worry about that thing. Just highlight digital communication. Highlight that thing and technology equipments and mass media. So digital communication is there. You have to highlight that thing. And mass media, so you have to highlight mass media. Mass media means what thing? Television, radio, newspapers, books, and magazines. So televisions have not only television. Mass media have two types: electronic media and the print media. Electronic media belongs to television and radio, and print media belongs to what thing? Newspapers, books, and magazines. That's the point. Right, that okay. And that type of things you have to write down there. Okay. Both on one should be perfected by the media literacy needed. Last point. One should be perfected by the media literacy needed to distinguish the reality from the illusion. Highlight the illusion if you highlighted already. No problem. Illusion means what thing? A fake or virtual kind of thing. Okay. A fake or virtual kind of thing. A fake or virtual kind of thing. It's not a realistic. Created by the media and must have necessary wisdom. You have to highlight the wisdom also. Wisdom means bhakti. It's not a simple thinking capacity idea. It's extraordinary skill of capacity. Okay, it's extraordinary skill of. It's extraordinary skill of. It's extraordinary skill of what thinking. Extraordinary skill of thinking. That is the point. And critically idea. Critically means what thing? Deeply analyzing some ideas. Deeply analyze ideas. Deeply analyze some ideas. That is the point. Deep analyze. Logically, curiosity, explorative ideas you can use to think that deep analyzing ideas. So get that point. Okay. And the next thing, next passage means next point, the second page. Okay. Major aims of the communication, and the morning time also we discussed that in the physical class. Major aims of the communication. Major aims, first one, building media literacy, and second one, making media criticism. Media literacy, you have to highlight that thing. If you already highlight, no problem. Media literacy means what thing? There are four skills we have to develop for that. What are the four skills of the media literacy? Please write down these things. If you don't write, please, if you don't have that point, please write. Analyze, analyzing, creating, utilizing evaluating. These four skills are the media literacy skills. Okay. If you have this type of skills, that means you have the media literacy. If you don't have this type of skills, means you have to improve your media literacy. Okay. After you have this type of skills, you can understand what are the actual idea about the media channels. What are the actual agenda about the media channels? That's the point. Okay. Second one, making media criticism. Making media criticism means what thing? It's some kind of a logical, heuristical idea. Okay, sometimes some channels never tell all the truths. You have to understand them. Hide something more. They hide something more means one thing. You can't understand after that thing why they hide this thing. Okay. Some advertisements, some media channels, they hide something. Hide something means they are profitable ideas, they hide sometimes. They always try to show we are very public service based channel or something. But actually, all the people have sponsors. All the people sell the news also. Sell sometimes humanity also. Actually, media is just business for them. We think actually they do the service or something, but actually, in that, according to their perspective, it's a business. Got that? So media criticism is that thing. You have to understand that thing deeply. Looking deeply. That is the point. Looking deeply. Then we have to read this. The communication process of the information exchange that began in the primitive society. You highlight that thing. Only if you highlight, okay. If you don't highlight that, please highlight it. Primitive society is the point. Primitive means old system. Old. Okay. Old one. Primitive society. With the primitive man using some science, okay? Science, sounds, okay? Symbols sometimes fulfill his her simple needs. You already know what are they actually. Basic minimum needs that we have. Basic minimum needs we got the human needs actually. What that thing? The food, water, shelter, that type of things are the normal human needs. But the communication also now a need. It's a need. Okay? It's must sometimes. If you have some rights, you have to earn that. You have to get that thing. Sometimes you have to raise your voice. Sometimes you have to verbally use your ideas to earn the needs of something. So communication is a need. Education also a need. Think about that. It's involved into a complex process. Nowadays, actually, we have the complex society. In the past, primary communication system based culture had simple lifestyle, but now we don't have that type of things. Communication through the highly developed communication technology is the present society. Now we have the technological idea, cultural idea. Next one, 2 points. Communication is an activity that runs into the origin of man. You already highlighted that thing, origin of man. Origin of man means is actually the beginning of that communication. Just think about it. Study of the communication study as an academic discipline. Highlight that thing. If you don't highlight the thing, not highlight that thing, please highlight. Already you highlight the thing, no problem. Academic discipline. Discipline means you have to maintain that. It's a good behaviors actually. Academically good behaviors are academic discipline. It means don't use this communication process for the violation or warfare developing or whatever it is. It's an actually good logical point, good logical subject, good logical process. Use that thing as a logical thing, not like a violent thing. Okay? Comments only in the earlier period of the 20th century. That's the point. Then the one time also we discussed this thing, but last week also I gave the point for that. What are the main incidents that help to develop of the communication, development of the communication? The first thing actually was first one and second one. World War first one, time period already you know, but keep memorize that thing, okay? The exam if they ask to write some answers, you really need this time period also, right? The First World War time period actually 1914 to 1918, you know, right? And Second World War time period, one thing, 1939 to 1945, you already know. And after the Industrial Revolution ideas there, it belongs what in 15th to 18th centuries. Centuries. Okay, that ideas are there. And that time, what type of things we can see there? Telecommunication concept developing in that time, 15 to 18, that between the centuries. And telecommunications are there, printing publications are there, factories are there, some ideological perspective things are there, communication technological things are there, literacy concepts are there. Think about that. Critical, more things are there. After that, during the time of the media was an arbitrarily. Last week also I told you, today also I told you. But that thing, arbitrarily means what type of idea with selfish attitude. They never listen to other people's idea. They never listen to that. So they want to develop their policies and they want to maintain their policies they don't like. To get other people's ideas for what thing? For what thing? To develop their system. Some kind of ego idea is there. No any humble ideas there. Okay, think about it. By the media owners, highlight that you already highlight. Okay. Media owners are there. Media owners, sometimes public people also there, private people also there. Whatever it is, owner means owner. No? They can do anything. They are things, they are properties. And political leaders also there. They also misuse communication. So, and with the objective of the making profit as well as obtaining the retaining power. Think about that thing. The objective of making profit as well as obtaining and retaining power. Highlight that thing. You already highlight. If you highlight already, okay. Profit means the actually they can earn some money from that productions. Profit is there. And retaining power means some kind of people power. Publicity always there, and channels want that type of things. Media owners want that type of things. In the state leaders also want that type of things. It's actually not a good thing, but unfortunately, in the past, in our history, we can see that. What are the three contribution communication studies during the World War? Actually, they have write a point in there. I think you already write down the thing. America and British peoples mostly try to develop an open idea for the communication. Mostly try to develop an open idea for the communication. Mostly. America and UK, British people, right? They want to develop that thing. That's why America became a centered country for the communication studies in late 1930s, 40s, that time. And contribution communication concept mainly belongs to three subject streams. First thing one, sociology is the idea. Sociology, social science or sociology. No problem, okay? Read it out if you have, please ask me, yeah? Sociology, right? And after that, political science is there. And the psychological ideas also there. Okay? These three things belong what thing? For the communication ideas system. So contribution idea means these three connected together, it can develop a communication subject. So it's not only a subject, it can develop what type of things? Sociological ideas, political ideas, and psychological ideas. Sociology why? Because without this thing, we can't develop a society. Society always depends on the communication. You already know that. Recently, I also told that. So without this thing, we can't develop the society. If we develop something good in the society, automatically the reactions also become a good thing. So in the society actually wrong side. We are think about that. Some state leaders navigate the society for the wrong ideas. We have to change that. If we don't change that thing, it's a very harmful thing for the society in the future also. Think about that. Political science. Why we want to change the political science, political ideas from the communication? Because Political leaders, if they take some bad decisions, it's really bad thing for the future. Young generation, children's, really bad. So communication, if you use as a political leader, you have to be responsible for that. You can't develop violation idea, OP idea for that thing. It's not a good thing. Nationalism, extremism, you can't do that. But unfortunately, in the past, people do that. In Sri Lanka, also same like that. Most of the state leaders and some terrorist leaders also do this. What to do? There are psychological ideas. Psychological idea means one thing. We have changed the people's mindset. Most of the people stuck in somewhere. They can't understand. Sometimes the people don't have sensitivity about other people. Think about it. When an accident or something, in a disaster happens, most of people nowadays also, they record that thing, video that thing. They record the videos about that thing. But never someone actually try to go to there and some rescue mission or something. They don't want to support for that. They always try to record that thing and put to social media. That's not the psychological support. People have the pains about that thing. People, yeah, humans have to think about like humanity. At least small kind of humanity. You have to maintain that. So communication become violation things. How we can develop psychological ideas? Think about that. That's why communication we want psychological. And American scholars mainly focus on this thing. You can see the American scholars in there who are the main speakers of the contribution communication concept. If they ask like that, three main American scholars are here. Charles Horton Cooley, first person is here. Charles Horton Cooley represent what subject? Sociology. Actually, his actual university is Michigan University. Okay, I will give that is right now. Michigan University. Okay, it's not a social science explorer or something. It's an engineer. It's an engineer. Okay, it's an engineer in Michigan University. Okay, graduated one. Michigan University graduated one. But after that, his idea actually comes after 1909. It means before First World War, before Second World War. But after some kind of what thing, the revolutions in the world. So he had that revolutionary ideas, not the world war ideas. So see, before the First World War, he developed the book and he published the book and he developed the concept. So it's indicate one thing. He actually followed the revolution's ideas, not the First World War. And second person, Ward Lippmann. Ward Lippmann's university actually Harvard University. Harvard University. He's actually author and writer. Writer means newspaper writer. Book author and newspaper article writer. Okay, University Harvard. Its actually subject is political science, political. And one of the best article series he has. Last week I never told that. Okay, just write down the New Republic. The New Republic. The New Republic is the article series by Ward Lippmann. In the MCQ paper, if they ask to check your common sense about the communication, we can do that. Okay, right? The New Republic. The New Republic by Ward Lippmann. It's a very good article series after 1921. After 1921 means after First World. So he followed the First World War. Then John Dewey is here. John Dewey psychologically and actually his uh, degree or his academical specialized for what thing? Philosophy, not for the psychology, philosophy. Okay. And his university actually New York University. New York what? Okay, yes. That so he follows also what in the First World. After First World War, so many people actually getting distracted about the communication things, and they already used for that thing for the warfare and the violation thing. Is not a good thing for the psychological, philosophical ideas. That is the point. That's why don't do me try to explain this thing with a psychological light. And the state leaders distort the people's mindset is not a good thing for the society. Media channels distort the people is not a good thing for the society. They have to publish something humanity, sensitivity, love and affection, that type of things. No anything in there. That's why this type of people launch some, publish some books, also read that thing. After reading, you can understand that. They hope like that. People can read this thing, then they can understand that thing. If they read this thing, it's a good thing for society. That's why they publish the three books. The next page you can see that three books. What are the three books contributed to independence communication? The first thing, Social Organizations by Charles Cooley. You have to write down that thing. If you write already, okay. Charles Cooley is the person who published what thing? The Social Organization book. Right, okay? 1990, I told you. Before first verse. What? Before first. Second one, Public Opinion Idea, 1922. That's the book. Published by whom? Walter Lippmann. To understand that. Walter Lippmann. 1992, 1922. That one after first world war. The third one, that also after first world war. The Public Can Its Problems by John Dewey is the author. If you have idea, okay. But you know, not at that thing, please don't. Public and its problems, 1927. The book. Then another thing, the morning we in the second lesson we can see the full definition of the Charles Cooley's idea. This one short definition. Okay, Charles Cooley's short definition belongs to what? Belongs to what thing? Belongs to what thing? Belongs for uh, social organization book. Social organization book. Yes, I. And what is the idea in here? In order to maintain human relationships and to develop them, the mechanism of the communication is important, right? That is the idea. Firstly, I have to highlight one thing: the relationship ideas. Relationship ideas. Relationship ideas. Relationship ideas. You have to highlight them. And to develop them, but then communication. You have to develop that. Okay? You want communication for what thing? Develop that what thing? Develop that relationship. That's the thing. The mechanism of the communication is important. It's a mechanism, some kind of a tool. Communication is not only a just a subject. It's a tool to develop the society, develop the connection, develop the society culture. And this definition belongs to what book? Social Organization in 1990. I would have just we discussed that thing in the morning, but again I can explain that to you. Followed by this trend, the subject area of the communication studies underwent a process of the specialization rooted down in Europe and America. We already highlight that thing. If you don't highlight that thing, please highlight. Europe and America. Please highlight it. Europe and America. Mainly Europe countries always try to develop this type of open idea, but mainly America take part. They are the first peoples who developed the open communication ideas. The society. Who are the people? Charles Cooley, Walter Lippmann, and John. Right? 1933 to 1945. Who actually ruled Germany? The dictatorial, very military-based, military type, Nazism promoted uh, leader Adolf Aloysius Hitler. Full name is Adolf Aloysius Hitler. So that Adolf Hitler is here. German. Many scholars were exiled from the German university. Why? This kind of problem. They develop so many extremism idea, nationalism idea. They always what thing. If you are not a pure German person, migrate to another country. We don't want your knowledge. We don't want you also. We they migrate. Why they select actually America? There are so many countries. So why they select America? Because America is the only country developed what thing? Open contribution concept. That's why they select America. There was so many countries are there, but they don't select that one because why? They other countries don't have this contribution communication idea. America only have that idea. That's why they migrate to America. Most of them who migrated research in the variety of the subject and centered on the field of communication. They were engaged in serious educational matters of communication studies, of communication studies, centered in American universities, highlighted. What is the reason for this thing? The reason for this thing is one thing. Put a bracket under that. The reason is USA developed the open contributional communication concept. USA developed the open contributional communication concept. Open contributional communication concept. Open contributional communication concept. Another point you have write down there. It's a special point. I don't do that in the morning time. Just think that there's a person always support for the Hitler for what thing developing what thing extremism ideas and that German Nazism ideas. The person who actually appointed for what thing? The propaganda minister by the Hitler's government and mass media minister of the Hitler's government. I don't give that thing recently or today morning also. Please note down this thing. The propaganda minister, propaganda, propaganda minister is mass media minister is Joseph Goebbels. Joseph Goebbels. Joseph Goebbels is the person who appointed for what? Mass media minister from the Hitler's government. Propaganda minister. Propaganda means nothing. Meaning what the propaganda? You should realize that. Propaganda means what thing? Organize the people for one aim. Organize the people for one aim idea is what the propaganda idea. Organize the people for one aim. And who's the person who developed this concept? Joseph Goebbels. It's a very important point. One of the time in the A-level paper, they asked that thing. What thing? Who is the mass media propaganda minister from the Hitler's government during 1933 to 45 time period? He is Joseph Goebbels. And mostly popular title for that Joseph Goebbels is theologist from theologist. Hitler's theologist. He will always do something with the guidance from Joseph Goebbels. Right. Who are the providers of the base of the communication studies? We already highlighted that thing in the morning, but again, I can explain that to you. Who are the providers of the base of the communication studies? Okay. How many people are there? People are there? We have highlighted only 4 people in here. Only 4. And the second lesson, and the third lesson, and the fourth lesson, sometimes the third lesson. So, the who are the providers of the base of the communication studies? First one, Kurt Lewin. Not the Kurd. Kurd is the no. Kurt. Not Lenin. Kurt Lewin. Okay, Kurt Lewin. The next person, Warren Weaver. Sometimes Vernon Weaver ideas there, it's wrong. Warren Weaver. Warren Weaver. You have to highlight that name. Four names you have to highlight. The first name is Warren Weaver. Warren Weaver. Warren Weaver. First title, Warren Weaver. The next person, Paul F. Lazarsfield. Paul F. Lazarsfield. Paul F. Lazarsfield. Paul F. Lazarsfield. Don't highlight. The next person you have to highlight, Harold D. Lasswell. Harold D. Lasswell. Harold D. Lasswell. You have to highlight. Harold D. Lasswell. How to highlight? Harold D. Lasswell. And the next person, very important person, you have to put star after highlighting this name. Wilbur Schramm is the person, highlight the name and put a star. Put a star. And now write down this thing near to that left hand side. Okay. This is the point. He's the first person who introduced. 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 He's the first person who introduced the communication syllabus and the principles. Communication syllabus and the principles. Communication syllabus and the principles. Communication syllabus and the principles with 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 definitions and models. With definitions and models. With definitions and models. With definitions and models. How to understand that? Okay. That's why we call him father of communication study. He is the person who developed firstly the syllabus of the communication. That's the thing. Okay. Father of communication study. And next one, Carl Ivor Holden. Don't highlight his name. Carl Ivor Holden. Don't highlight it. But next name you have to highlight Claude Shannon. Claude Shannon. Claude Shannon. Have to highlight. Highlight it first. Americans. Claude Shannon is American person. Warren is African person. Laswell is American person. Wilbersham is a German person. That's why very important that Hitler's ideas also was because if Hitler killed Wilbersham or someone, okay, that scholars in that field of the Germany, that's not his subject because he's the developer of the syllabus. Sometimes it's passed after that. Okay. Right. This next small passage is there. In the 1940s, steps were taken by Professor Wilbersham. Wilbersham is the first professor for the communication studies in the history. Okay. First professor for the communication studies in the academical history. Why? He is the developer of the syllabus. Then he is the first person. He is the introducer of what thing? The first experimental unit for the communication studies. Next point, we can highlight that Wilbersham. To institutionalize the subject of the communication studies as an academic discipline. He wanted to develop this subject as an academic subject, new subject, good subject, proper subject, professional subject. That is it. In the meantime, it can be shown that mass media schools, highlight, Wilbersham do that type of things actually. He introduced some media schools and institutes of the communication experiment. He introduced some experiments. Okay, we established that new academic departments also, and some university ideas also there. And another point you have to write down here, additional point, just write down. Wilbersham introduced what thing? Wilbersham introduced this subject. Wilbersham introduced this subject means communication. This subject, Wilbersham introduced this subject for India Africa, Africa, Israel, Israel is there, Israel, Israel, okay, Israel, and El Salvador, El Salvador, El Salvador, El Salvador, okay, El Salvador, states, countries, states. He's the person who introduced this subject for the India. That's why that thing actually comes from the South Asia also. Why? India is there. Think about that thing. You can link all the things and you can explain that thing now. Okay. Connect all the things. Get the idea. Okay. And the America Samoa television network. Okay. Right up this. This small face facing there, just right down. He's the founder of founder of Samoa Television Network USA. Samoa Television Network USA. Samoa Television Network USA. Samoa Television Network USA. Okay. For the last lines. What is the first university? To introduce the communication studies as an academic discipline. This I have right now. Okay. Founder of Samoa Television Network USA. That's a very good point. Next, what is the first university to introduce the communication studies as an academic discipline? Recently, I told in the world, first university is the University of Illinois, Chicago. Highlighted the university name, Chicago, and the year is what year? 1947. Please put that. 1947 is the year he introduces the experimental unit for the university. 1947. 1947. 1947. Right. Additionally, you can write down this thing. Additionally, you can write down this thing. But under that Chicago, that name, please write down this one. That this 1947 Chicago, Illinois one is the first experimental unit in the world. But Wilbraham introduced the second experimental unit for the Stanford University in 1950. Write down this one. Okay. He introduced the world second experimental unit for communication in 1955 for Stanford University. He introduced the world's second experimental unit for the communication in 19 communication studies in 1955 for Stanford University. For Stanford University, that's an actual point. Okay. Stanford University. Stanford University. Just highlight the university name, year, and second experimental unit in the world. Correct? Second experimental unit in the world. Think about that. Second experimental unit in the world. This is the point. Right? Right? Next one. Right. And after that, we have to move to the next page. Who is the father of the communication studies? Who is the father of the communication studies? Who is the father of the communication studies? Who is the father of the communication studies. Actually, we know who is the father of the communication study. Why? Because we talk about that thing, no? What thing? Professor Wilbur is the person who developed the first syllabus and first principles for the communication studies. So he became the what thing? He became the first developer of this syllabus. So that's why we give a honor name for that person, father of communication studies. You can see that in next page. There's a picture from that Wilbur Frank. In here, Professor Wilbur Frank. And Wilbur Frank. Now there's a point you have to read that. I recently told you this person developed so many experimental lyrics and experimental ideas are there. And Professor Wilbertram's experimental things really helpful for the future communication studies. Okay? And one of this idea you can see like that. Read this thing. Professor Wilberstram, in his studies on the television media, highlighted. He developed some experimental units. The television mainly we can see in there, television. Okay. Observes, highlight the television now, highlight television. Observes that they are in a relationship between children distancing themselves. Okay, highlight that. He finally he get the point about that thing. Much more television addictions for the children actually develop what type of thing? Distancing themselves, okay, from relationship. They are actually they always trust television. They never trust their parents or someone. Okay, distancing themselves. Television can make a distance between the parents and children. Okay? And other things. The study further states that children who have conflicts highlight firstly the distancing. Highlight firstly the distancing. What are two main points in here? First point is we understand what the television can develop what type of thing? Distance. Okay? Distance ideas. But second point, it can develop some conflicts. They have to write down this report name in there because he developed a report. This all the points according to that report. It's not in here. It's not in the syllabus, so actually that's the problem. Because they always say they do he do research or something, but we have the report. So we search that thing and we find the idea and I put that thing right down here. These two ideas actually comes after researching this thing, this report. Write down television and the lives of our children. Television and the lives of our children. Please highlight this point. It's a very important one because not in the in here or syllabus source because they don't put that problem. What is the report? The name from the Wilbur Farm. He find out these two points. This thing is the point. Television and the lives of our children is the report name. Report published by Wilbur Farm. Please highlight the name. Television and the lives of our children. Television and the lives of our children. That's the report name. Television and the lives of our children. That's the report name. That's the report. Alright. That is the report name. Then after that, the children who have conflict with their parents tend to watch television in order to get rid of their anxiety. Just highlight the anxiety also. Anxiety means sometimes they have some fear about working. Work with the society, work with other people, trusting the trust issues they have. Anxiety is there. Just highlight anxiety. Anxiety. See, so television can develop what type of things? See, distance, conflict, and anxiety. Because what report? This report. Television and the lives of our children That's a report. And Wilberforce find out what type of this treat is. Television can develop its distance. Television can develop the conflicts. Television can develop the anxiety. That much addictive media is television. You know, this report actually published in which year? Actually, 1954. See, 1954 to 2026 now. Actually, happening these days. See, what are the things that we can see in nowadays television? No, same like this. It can develop people's distance, it can develop the conflicts, it can develop the anxiety. Totally same now. But he developed this point in 1954. See, what type of a future idea that person have. Think about that. That's why he become the father of a communication style. Have the vision. He has the vision. Perspective about the communication. That's the point. So wireless, the report, television and the labs of observer in 1954, ideas are distance, conflicts, and anxiety after coming to communication. Okay, after misusing communication, the type of comes. Right. Now that's the Wilberforce report, Wilberforce research, Wilberforce report. Right. Uh, another report is there. Another research, another report is there. Another research, another report is there. What type of research, what type of report can be? This you can read with me. The researchers from the University of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania also a state university in America, okay? The researchers from the University of Pennsylvania pointed out that three main changes occur in children as a consequence of watching violent cartoons. Okay? The researchers from the University of Pennsylvania. Okay? Highlight that. Pennsylvania. University of Pennsylvania. Pointed out what thing? Three main changes occur in what thing? Children as students what thing? Watching violent cartoons. Nowadays, also same like that. Just highlight violent cartoons. Who developed this research? The Pennsylvania University of the America, Pennsylvania University, then Illinois University, Stanford University, all are in there. University of Pennsylvania appointed but in 3 points consequence working, watching violent cartoons. Watching violent cartoons. That is the thing. Watching violent cartoons. Ben 10 or something also have that thing. Have to understand that the Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, everything have that. Right? And watching violent cartoons and they understand three main sub points how to know other people. First thing, children lost sensitivity. Highlight the lost sensitivity. The traumatic idea of that. Lost sensitivity. Lost sensitivity. Okay. It means they are not like humans actually. They can't treat other people like a human. Always rude, very bad words and behaviors that the people have. Okay? Sensitive, lost sensitive. Most of the people don't have that thing now. Okay? All the people running their system. Okay? And children's lost sensitivity idea. Mhm. Sensitivity is not what thing. If someone pet or some animal or anything, think about that. Someone getting accident or something, getting hurt or something. Okay? According to that thing, some persons actually getting emotional and they cry sometimes. And that means that idea means one thing that people have some kind of humanity. But nowadays, if someone faces an accident or something, they never try to After that, other people going to there and they can rescue that person. But some people mostly, the first we think about to record the incident or something. It's not a humanity. That's not a humanity. It's a human error actually. Yeah? Think about that. Love sensitivity. Without sensitivity, how the people can live? Can't. Every time we want some kind of a response. And the sensitivity also. Think about it. Highlight the sensitivity. Lost sensitivity. It's not a good thing. Very bad. Okay. Second one. Children are infused with the sense of fear about the environment and the world they live. Okay. Highlight it. Sense of fear. Sense of fear. Sense of fear. Sense of fear. Fear, you know, no? It is I don't know all the people face for this thing. But some people still now also they work with this type of things. Think about it. So, sense of fear is not a good thing. Use always fear to the society needs. It's a personality issue. It's a personality. Okay? It's a personality. That thing you can't face for society in open idea because you fear to the society. That also an anxiety. Yeah? It's called social anxiety. Social anxiety. Social anxiety. Some people have animal anxiety. Some people have working anxiety. Some people have social anxiety. They never meet other people because they have fear. They think that people are murderers, killers, smugglers, or some. No, they are humans. But the people have that type of emotions. You can't change that. That is the problem. Third, children, when relating to other, are more prone to the aggressive and quick conflict. Highlight. Aggressive and quick conflict. Aggressive. Okay? Aggressive and conflict. Aggressive and conflict ID. Aggressive and conflict ID. Who developed this idea? This Pennsylvania University report that organization. Okay, that's right. Now another update. According to this point, according to the Wilberforce ideas, after that, totally we finished the European history about the communication. European history about the communication. Okay. Now I have to discuss what are the advantages and next page belongs to what thing? Next page belongs to what thing? To the Sri Lankan history of the community. Sri Lankan history of the community. Right. Now, what are the advantages of the communication? We have to select that. Okay. And advantage. Just highlight the advantage. So, as we 10 things, just highlight only two or three. Four enough. What are the advantages of the communication studies? Okay. First one, gaining knowledge of the process of communication activities as well as the medium. Okay. Gaining knowledge. Remember that. Gaining knowledge of the process of communication activities as well as media. Activities at national and international levels. Okay. National, international levels. High level. National, international levels. National, international levels. National means local or country-based ideas. We can put in there. International means global ideas. That's the point. Okay. Second one, okay, developing the ability and skill to use media critically. Developing the ability and the skill to use media critically. The skill to use media critically. Skill to use media critically. That much actually a deep idea is here. Okay, we have the ability and skill to use media critically. Abilities means actually depend on the time and the age, the singing or any type of things. Abilities people have, and the skills to use of media critical. Some people don't use media criticism idea, just they collect the things and they go. But actually, idea you have to understand what is criticism. Okay, what is the background actually? We can use in there. Think about that. Second one, the ability to choose necessary and relevant information. That's a good point. Relevant information, relevant, relevant information. That's the point. Okay. Third one, the ability to choose necessary and relevant information. Okay. And put a bracket and right. Okay. It has two types of ideas you can add in there. Put a bracket and right. The formal ideas is there. Formal means example, gazette, or act, or law. Good example for the formal things, just write down. And second one, you know the opposite idea. Informal. 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 Informal means actually gossip, okay, rumor, that type of things happen in informal life. Okay. Informal life. Informal means nothing. No proper plan, no proper target. Just just communicate with people. Sometimes good information are there, sometimes bad information are there. Bad good means one thing. Some kind of reliable information are there. Sometimes it's not like that. Not reliable, not credible. Actually, we don't know the source about that. That's the reason. Next one. The ability to choose the study idea, okay. The improving the improving the explorative nature and critical thinking. See, improving the explorative skills. Explorative nature means one thing. You can search that thing, and other people also can have enthusiasm to search something more. And they searching, and they go that according to the streams, they search something more, and they try to find out something new, innovative. That's the point. Innovative ideas. It comes from what thing? It comes from what thing? In explorative skill side. Just highlight explorative skill side. Explorative nature. Critical thinking, critical thinking means deep analyzing skill. You know what is it. But this thing, explorative nature means one thing. We can emphasize, we can develop evaluation to other people to search something, finding something, go to doctor something. Think about it. Highlight the explorative idea. Okay. Media literacy. Once we write this, you know that thing, just put bracket and write. 2 times we write that thing, now we have the idea. Media literacy have 4 skills. What are the 4 skills that we have? 4 skills. 4 skills. Recently, I wrote that thing in here. Okay. 4 skills. What are the 4 skills? First part, analyzing, okay, creating, utilizing, okay, evaluating. These 4 things are the 4 skills of media literacy. Four skills of media literacy. Skill of the literacy is not like this. Skill of literacy is what we read, okay, write, understand. That is just normal literacy idea. But if someone have deep idea like this, it's called media literacy. It's called media literacy. Next one. Uh, I have to write down these four things near the literacy idea. Okay. And good, polite, and fruitful human interrelationships. Good, polite. Good behaviors are there, respect is there, humanity is there, caring, sharing is there. Good, no? That type of people are good, no problem. Good, polite, and fruitful human relationship. Fruitful human interrelationships. Okay. Good and polite. Just highlight. Good and polite. Good and polite. In the talking idea. Okay. In the talking, when we write a letter or something, we have give some respect for them. Okay. Good, polite, and human relationship. Interperson. Okay. Interperson relationships. Interrelation. Think about it. And after that, extending active support for the progress of the society. Extending active support for the progress of the society. Yes. Okay. Extending the active support for the progress. Okay. Highlight the progress of the society. Society. Okay. Think about it. Right. Active support. Process of the society means uh, expand the idea or something. Okay. That type of idea. And supporting the progress of society means actually we can support them and we can support the society also. Okay. And logically, if you can do something that type of job point, actually is really important. Think about that. Okay. And seventh one, okay. Uh, Creative thinking and media message creations are there. Creative thinking and media message creation. Actually, creation is one of what type of idea. Creations are what type of ideas? Creations, just random. Every creation actually some kind of this type of ideas are there. Three things are there. Innovative new things actually focus for three things. What is the first thing? What is the first thing? Uh, Creations actually depend on these three things. First one, imagination. Right now, imagination. Imagination is there. Imagination is there, and wonderfulness is there. Wonderfulness is there. Imagination, wonderfulness, and freshness. If these three things are there, means it's a creation. That's the point. It's a creation. It's a creation. That's it. It's a creation, right? And next one. Uh, Creative thinking and media creations to that side. Every message must be these type of things. We want to develop a creation, new thing. Actually, these three things are must. Okay. Next one, developing knowledge, attitude, ability, and habits required for being a citizen nourished on the democratic and professional thing. Silent two reasons are there. Firstly, knowledge idea. Okay. Attitude, just highlight attitude. Okay. That idea. Ability, just highlight ability. And habits, which day habits. 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 Required for being a citizen nourished. Citizen nourished. Okay, that's the point. Democratical and professional thinking. Highlight. Democratical and professional thinkers. What is democratic? What is democracy? Democracy. What is democracy? Democracy means what type of thing? Actually, it's a system idea. People can take some decisions against for the system. Okay, some kind of a democratical idea actually there. Democratic means people have the power to talk with someone. Okay, people have the uh, permission. People have the permission. Okay, to develop some systems according to their goods. Okay? They can give some chance to the people to work it, make the democratical idea, make the happiness, make the helping each other that type of points we can use. What develop the attitudes and other things. So think about it. And as a citizen means that you are become first citizen of a country means who president about that first citizen. But think about habits required for the being a citizen, democratic, professional thing. Actually, first citizen is actually president. He also have to what thing. He or she also have to maintain what thing. His habits and attitudes. Because he or she already do this thing, try to do this thing, and that time if we actually we they don't do the support to them, we can't develop this country or society as a good, very reliable, transparency, full society. We can't develop because we have to give the support for them. That's why recently in there, but in here, active support for the progress of society. We have to actively support for this. Sometimes highly risky idea. We know that, but sometimes we have to do that. Okay? The last one, building and understanding about the activities. So the media industry by onset. That is the point. Onset. Just highlight one thing. Build an understanding about the creativities. Okay, creativities of the media industry, of the media industry, of the media industry. That's the idea. And you have to highlight the media industry. The point is actually media as business ideas there. Most of the people are there, professional workers are there, right? And workers, professional people are there, professional people are there, professional people are there, professional, professional people are there. Ideologies are there, ideologies are there, okay? Ideologies are there. Methods are there, methods are there, methods are there, methods are there. Okay? And you know, the every media channel have one type of thing. What type of thing? The media channels have one type of thing. All the programs have one type of person, the sponsors they have, right now. Sponsors they have, sponsors they have, sponsors, sponsors, sponsors. Without sponsor, they can't develop a program. Why? Money they won't know. We have to pay for the money for that more units we have in the programs. At least actually think about the news also have a sponsor. No? Okay? Sponsor, really important. Sponsorships. And sponsorships are really important. Why? Without that thing, we can't earn something as a media channel. About that. The industry is an industry. It's a professional worker-based industry. They want some money. They want some value. That's the point. Right, okay? Why not, sir? That's the point. That is the idea. Right? That's the point. That is the idea. So the last point of what is the European history ideas, and we have to move forward now. The Sri Lankan history of the communication. Sri Lankan history of the communication studies in here academical ideas mainly focus. But before that thing, there are some things not in here. We have to put that thing in there. Okay. Please take your writing book or another paper also enough for this thing, no problem. Because in here we actually start from the point of that university ones and sometimes academical main things in here. But in Sri Lankan, oldest publications, oldest radio systems, oldest magazines and novels, books, that type of things. Not that's why now I give some points for you. It's really important in the exam. Really, okay. So what's the idea? So writing books that you have, take that one and put today date and put the topic of the communication, idea, communication, uh, history of the communication, idea, okay, and the beginning of the communication, expansion, its name, and Sri Lankan history of the communication. That's a second subtopic. First one, beginning of expansion, beginning and expansion of the communication. Second point, subtopic is history of the communication studies in Sri Lanka. History of the communication studies in Sri Lanka. History of the communication studies in Sri Lanka. After that gives you very important points with the years and sometimes the person's name is also there. Right away. Now I think you okay. I think you already ready. Right. So firstly one thing, firstly one thing, not this thing. Okay. Firstly this. Okay. Sri Lanka actually Sri Lanka have this some kind of foreign effects, foreign sometimes they have migrations, immigration, that type of things, and then their culture effects really helpful for this type of developments. Actually. So you have to understand that in the Dutch people come to Sri Lanka, British people come to Sri Lanka, English, that means British people also there. So these people's actually their perspectives and their technological usage really helpful to develop the Sri Lankan idea, Sri Lankan communication ideas. Think about that. Sri Lankan communication ideas. Think about that. Right. First point, just random. In 17, in 1734, in 1734, 1734, in 1734, 34, in 1734, okay, in 1734, Dutch law code, 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 published, published, published as, published as, as the, as the first printed publication in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka. Highlight this one. Highlight this one. First printed public. In 1734, Dutch law code is the first published publication in Sri Lanka as a printed one. Okay, first printed publication in Sri Lanka is what thing? 1734 Dutch law code. Dutch law code. Dutch law code is the first publishing idea in Sri Lanka. In 1734, Dutch law code published as the first printed publication in Sri Lanka. First printed publication material in Sri Lanka. That's the point. Please write down. Okay, highlight it. And second one. The second one. Okay. Second one. Second one. Okay. I think you already okay. Now we have the second one. Okay. This one. 1812. In 1812. In 1812. 1812. British 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 rulers British rulers publish publish the translation single translation of Holy Bible in Colombo. Holy Bible in Colombo. In 1812, British rulers published the single translation of Holy Bible in Colombo. In Colombo. Second point. Yeah. 1812, British rulers, single translation, Holy Bible. In Colombo. In Colombo. In Colombo. In Colombo. In Colombo. Right. In Colombo. In Colombo. Okay. In 1812, British rulers published the single translation of Holy Bible in Quran. That time is okay. The second one. Now the next one. 1830. In 1834, write down. Next one. Next point. In 1834, sorry, in 1830, 1832, sorry. In 1832, in 1832, sorry, in 1832, not 80, not 34, it's 1832. 1832. Okay. British people, because in that time they are ruling period, British people, okay, British people printed the printed the printed the first newspaper in Sri Lanka. It's an English newspaper, not a single one. Sri Lanka. It's called. It's called. It's called Colombo Journal. Called Colombo Journal. Colombo Journal. Colombo Journal. It's called Colombo Journal. It's called Colombo Journal. It's called Colombo Journal. It's called Colombo Journal. Colombo Journal. Colombo Journal. Very important points. It's not in there. That's why I give this. Okay. Some points are very, very important points because first newspaper, first newspaper issue. But not a single one English one. 1832, the British people printed the first newspaper in Sri Lanka. It's called Colombo Journal. Colombo Journal. Colombo Journal. Colombo Journal. Right. Now the next one. Now 1834. In 1834, British government, British government in Sri Lanka. Okay, they would consider our country. British government printed the first, okay, first, okay, first commercial, first commercial newspaper in Sri Lanka. First commercial newspaper in Sri Lanka. It's it's called it's called it's called it's called. Now actually this name is a huge name, but please try to memorize this thing. Okay, it's called the Observer Commercial. Observer Commercial. Observer Commercial Advertiser. Observer Commercial Advertiser. Observer Commercial Advertiser. Observer Commercial Advertise. Observer Commercial Advertise. Observer Commercial Advertise. Observer Commercial Advertiser. 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 Right. Right. Now, now this all these newspapers and these are British things, no English ones. No? Now after I think I'm a singular in country Sri Lankan singular peoples try to develop some kind of newspapers and other publications also in singular. Okay. The first experience is this thing right now. In 1860, in 1860, in 1860, 1860, okay, 60, when Dhammaloka, when Dhammaloka, when Dhammaloka, okay, Monk, when Dhammaloka and Dhammaloka and Langkopakara, Langkopakara, Langkopakara press, publication press, when the Maloka and Lanka press, press, introduced the, introduced the, introduced the, introduced the first singular newspaper to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. It's called, it's called Lanka Local. 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 Correct. In 1860, yeah, when Dhammaloka and Lankopakar president used the first single newspaper in Sri Lanka, it's called Lanka Loka. Lanka Loka. But the problem is here is the Lanka Loka, not registered. That's the problem. It's a good newspaper, okay, but it's not registered. That's the problem. In the paper, if they ask, what is the first single newspaper in Sri Lanka? That is Lanka. No doubt for that. But if they ask, what is the registered single first newspaper in Sri Lanka? That's not Lanka. Okay. That is the doubt. How to understand that thing, okay? Now, next point. Please. In the next point, you can clear that point, okay? Like that. In 1864, in 1864, in 1864, in 1864, 1864, Sri Lanka, Sri Lankans, Sri Lankans printed the first registered registered singular newspaper called it's called it's called La Mini Pahana. La Mini Pahana. La Mini Pahana. It's called La Mini Pahana. 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 Okay. La Mini Pahana. 1864 is the year Sri Lankans one first registered single newspaper. That is La Mini Pahana. Okay. That means that Mini. Okay. I'll write the La Mini. First registered single newspaper in Sri Lanka. That is La Mini Pahana. Next one. Next one. Next one, what thing? Next one, what thing? Okay. Next one. between between 1860s, 1870s, between 1860s, 1870s, between 1860s, 1870s, 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 1870s. You can see, you can see the printed, first printed family newspaper called between 1860s to 1870s. We can see the first printed Tamil newspaper in Sri Lanka. Paper in Sri Lanka. It's called, it's called Udaya Tharakil. 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 Okay. Data. Udaya Tharakil. Udaya Tharakil. Right. Next one, the last idea, the Sri Lankan film publication language. Okay. Then after that, we have to move the radios and we can move the after that thing universities. Okay. Right. I already focused to today to give this last. Actually, lastly, I want to give this all the points to you because it's not in there. The tube. We have to add that thing additionally, and we have to get that point from addition. It's not in there. The additional thing for you is really helpful for you to find out years and what are publications in the years. Actually, very simple, and very important. Next one. Next one. Next one. Is the right. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka. First, first periodical magazine is magazine is magazine is Masika tag Masika tag Masika tag put a slash Masika tag put slash the first printed novel book in Sri Lanka is 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 Simon de Silvas is the author. Okay? Simon de Silvas. Simon de Silvas Meena book. Meena book. Simon Silla. Simon Silla was the author of this Meena book. Can't understand anything, okay? Right. Right. Master Tagger. Right. And how the radio system actually come to Sri Lanka and who are the people actually support for that thing that is important in that. Okay, that's the point. So get the idea. What the idea? Next point. The last point for today is point of this is the point. Okay. Okay. After the first World War, World War, after the First World War, First World War. Okay. After the First World War, okay, British people, British people induced us, reduced us, us, reduced us a, a military based radio system, military based radio system. It's called, it's called, it's called SIAC, SIAC, SIAC. Okay. Okay. Don't put the full stop, put a comma. Additional 2 points are there. Okay. After the First World War, the British people introduced a military-based radio system for us, SIAC. Okay. It's called SIAC. Okay. And put a comma. Right on. In 1920, 1921. In 1920-21, in 1920, 1921, 21, it's converted to not 21, 1920, 23. Okay, sorry. 1920 to 23, not 21. 1920 to 23. It's converted, converted Oh, Colombo Radio. Second name is Colombo Radio. Converted to Colombo Radio. Converted to Colombo Radio. Converted to Colombo Radio. Firstly, after the World War, British people introduced military-based radio system. It's called SEAC, first radio system in Sri Lanka. And 1923, that time it's converted to a Colombo radio. They have Colombo Journal, that is the first newspaper in Sri Lanka English. This one, the first radio system, Colombo Radio, their one. Colombo Radio. After Pratama, the last one, 1924, 1925, 24, 25. Colombo Radio converted to Radio Ceylon. Radio Ceylon. Radio Ceylon. Radio Ceylon. Okay. Now we have the SEAC and you have Colombo Radio also. And after that thing, Radio Ceylon also. Radio Ceylon also. This one very important radio was what? This highlight the years also info. Radio Ceylon. Okay. Right. This is the point for the radio Ceylon right now. Right now, Radio Ceylon is the Radio Ceylon is the first registered radio system in South Asia. South Asia slash first registered radio station in South Asia. We have that one now. We have an important country. Radio Ceylon is the first registered radio system in South Asia. Not only that, another one important thing there. South Asia and world second oldest radio system. Also, second oldest radio system also Radio Ceylon. Radio Ceylon. Okay, that's the ending part of the book. Right. So next day we have discussed one thing, the history of the communication studies in Sri Lanka after radio developing and university ideas are there. Okay, that's the point. That's the idea. And that's small homework for you in the online session homework for you. And please write down the theme also in the book. Put to the date and please write down the homework. Right. Homework is this one. What's the homework? Write down. according the according to the history, according to the European communication history, according to the European communication history, European communication history, European communication. How the Wilberforce involved, how the Wilberforce involved, how the Wilberforce involved, involved, involved for the development of this communication subject, for development of this communication subject, put a question mark, subject, subject, question mark, question mark. Prove this point, 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 prove this point. With examples, 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 and the incidents that we can see, and the incidents that we can see, and the incidents that we can see. In late 1950s, in late 1950s, late 1950s, was he introduced the first experimental practice late 1950s, 1947. So before that thing, he developed so many ideas. And first university experiments, you can write all things there after the Hitler idea. Okay. And he's a German person, really important person for us. Right. The next day we can discuss history of the communication fully, and I plan to fully finish the lesson next online session. And please join for that thing. And sharply we can start in 7. Right. Okay. And next day I plan to finalize fully the first lesson and join for that. Now, right? Very good day. Thanks for joining. And see you later all. And catch you all the people in physical class, next session, online class. Good night.